Hello and welcome back to my channel, Complicated Relationships Reddit Stories. Hope you guys are safe and healthy. Now let's see what the story is about today. When I confronted my wife of 11 years about having a long-term married AP, she said she still wants to continue with him. And when I try to separate and move on, she wants me to stay and fix everything. It's time we listen to the story. Also, if you like what I do, please give this video a thumbs up and do subscribe to the channel.
My wife abandoned me for another man. She was my best friend and the person I trusted the most in the world. I found out that she had been the other woman in this man's marriage before I married her, and they reconnected on Instagram 10 years later and started an intimate relationship back up. The pandemic was hard on us. I lost my creative director job in the travel industry when lockdown happened, and because she had a very secure and well-paying job in clinical research, we decided that I would take on freelance work as I could, but would become full-time dad and caregiver to our 2 little children while she worked her job from home. So I dove into my new role. I took our kids on nature adventures, planned activities, took care of meals, shopping, did arts and crafts, got them down for naps, etc., while my wife worked and took 2-hour naps and locked me out of my own room daily.
Now, when OP is stressed, he becomes a massive people's pleaser, and the wife knew it and took advantage of it.
She also had a drinking problem and would hide boxes of wine from me. I tried to help her with all of that and keep her accountable because she asked me to, but I would still find hidden boxes of wine in random places. Still, I loved her, and I tried so hard to always be there for her and to make her life more comfortable, even as she used me as her negativity and complaint sounding board. She started seeing a therapist for the first time during this time, and that made me super happy because I knew she had some issues to work through. So she would leave during the week to go see her therapist and would come back a few hours later. I eventually discovered that a lot of these times she wasn't going to see her therapist, but was going to have a rendezvous with her AP. I thought things were starting to get better between us a little, and we even went and updated the diamond in her ring while she was still intimate with the other man.
It was crazy because OP says his heart knew something was up and something was very wrong in their relationship. Their intimacy was way off, and when he tried to bring it up, she would gaslight him a lot and says everything was fine.
During the pandemic, my best friend moved to Lake Tahoe and was trying to get me out to visit him. When I brought it up to my soon-to-be ex-wife, she was excited and even helped me purchase my ticket. When I saw my friend in Tahoe, he could tell something was way off with me, and later said I looked more down than he'd ever seen me. I was only gone 3 to 4 days, but it was crazy how much I missed her while I was gone. When I got home from Tahoe, I returned to a much frazzled wife from apparently keeping our kids for 3 days by herself. I'm sure they were together the whole time my kids were at school. She was so upset, and when she mentioned getting herself a hotel room for a few days, I obviously was like, yes, please do that. Go recharge. So I kept my kids for the weekend and missed her the whole time.
When the wife got home, she has just gone to the salon and she looked beautiful.
I was happy to see her and was like, hey, it's been a minute. Maybe we can do it later. And she agreed. That evening, while she was giving the kids a bath, she had left her phone on the kitchen counter, and I have no idea what drove me to it, but my suspicion was up. I'd never picked up her phone and looked through it before, but this day, I did, and I found an app that I had heard of that was for secret messaging. I opened it, typed in our anniversary as the password, and then saw a text that would give me trauma and change my life forever. It read from her, "Have a great run, babe. Miss you already." But Babe? Babe? That's my name. My whole world came crashing down. There was no name for who this was, just some initials and connected to a phone number. So I did a reverse search and found out who this man was.
OP looked him up on Facebook and left it open on his phone and went and got in the shower, shaking and crying.
I got out probably an hour later, and she had put the kids to bed. I knew she knew that I knew and sounded panicked. I asked her to sit down and said, "Who is he?" She came clean and told me about him, and that they had had an intimate and emotional relationship for almost a year. I hate to say it, but I lost it, had an emotional breakdown, and eventually left the house to go cry with a friend all night. This discovery traumatized me. I stayed at my friend's house for a night or two, and then it was my son's 4th birthday. I wanted him to have a great birthday despite all of this, so I let my wife hang with the kids for a while, and then I packed up my kids and took them to my sister's. I asked my wife over and over if she had ended her relationship, and she said she hadn't because she wanted closure with her partner. I got back and had to take her to the hospital because she thought she was dying, but it was a panic attack. I sat with her in the most depressing hospital room ever, comforting her after she had broken my heart, shattered my world, and had not yet ended her relationship with AP. It took her almost 2 weeks to be able to tell me that she ended it with him.
Now, those weeks were literally hurtful for OP's mind, body, and soul. He went and stayed at an Airbnb and lost probably 15 to 20 pounds.
Anyway, I didn't have a full-time job yet, and she was the breadwinner at the time, and I couldn't leave my kids. I loved them with my whole heart, so I felt stuck. So we separated in the same house. I began sleeping on the couch, and my son eventually moved on his own into his sister's room, and I lived on an air mattress in his room while my wife continued to sleep in our old room. She eventually told me that it was over with her AP, and that he and his wife were going to try and work on their marriage, and that she wanted to go to counseling and work on ours. I reluctantly agreed, but I knew deep down that she had done the very thing I told her that would end our relationship, and I wasn't kidding about that. I was no longer attracted to her. We started counseling, and that opened Pandora's box for me and made me take off my rose-colored glasses about so many things in our relationship and the way I had been treated over the years.
OP knew it was over the one time they tried to be intimate, and all he could see were images of this man in his head.
A few months into this, it wasn't going anywhere, and she still was not proving to me that she actually loved me and wanted to be with me, and she hated when I asked questions about her other man, and we got in numerous arguments. One warm summer day, I asked her if she wanted to take the day off and go to the lake with me and the kids, and, as usual, she said she couldn't. When I was walking up to the lake, I saw a beautiful woman lounging with her 2 kids. I set up my stuff a little over from her, and eventually our kids started playing together, and she and I started chatting and didn't stop for almost 6 hours. We felt an instant connection and had lots in common. She was going through a separation herself. I left that day and couldn't stop thinking about her. But I let that go and, for the next few weeks, still tried to go to counseling and work on my marriage.
Eventually, this awesome lady and OP connected on Instagram. They began talking and enjoying each other's company.
Long story short, my wife found out that we had been talking and she lost it, told me I was no better than her, etc. I told her I would try and end it, and I did, but it only lasted a little time before I realized I wanted to keep talking to this lady. Eventually, I found a great job and told my wife that I had to move out and that I would maybe pursue a relationship with this lady. It's been about 6 months since I moved out into my own, and we have started the divorce process, but my wife has made so much of my life a living H and has made me feel so guilty for leaving her and pursuing another relationship after what she did. Every time she has found out that I've been hanging out with her, she has lost her mind on me and said the most hurtful things imaginable, all while she tweets about her own single dating life. I spent Thanksgiving Day with the woman I met, and my ex ruined my day and made me feel completely awful.
OP come to find out his wife was still talking to her AP until New Year's Eve, when the man's wife found a letter he had been writing to my ex.
She confessed this to me when she thought the man's wife had contacted me. She hadn't. So the whole time she was laying into me, she was still carrying on with him. Anyway, I really like this woman still and feel like I could maybe love and trust her. But my ex is really angry for me moving on, even though we are divorcing. I'm trying to stay as kind as possible to her and be discreet and understanding while still exploring this relationship, and I don't feel like I'm in the wrong for leaving, following my heart and moving on after my heart wound, but maybe I am. I still care for my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I miss the memory of the person that I thought I knew and loved, but the moment I found out about this betrayal, it fundamentally changed the way in which I view her and our future together.
OP says he never wanted to be divorced, but he knew in his heart and knows when it's broken so badly by someone, and when it's trying to move on, it's gone, so is the trust.
And even though I'm very in love with my memories from our past together and occasionally miss her a lot, we're no longer compatible because she forever broke my trust. My main goal is to be the best dad I can be and co-parent the best I can while still enjoying and moving on with my life. We're doing well with managing the kids so far, and the kids have adjusted to 2 households. And we are splitting everything 50-50. I still have a lot of anxiety from what I went through. I have a therapist, and that is helping some. Anyway, I just needed to share this story. I think there is hope for the future still, and my love life, and I'm thankful in the end that I can move forward, but none of this has been easy.
End of the story. Well, OP, you have no reason to feel guilty. She made her choices, you made yours. In her choices, she cheated on you for more than a year and never stopped. You guys were separated even if you all lived in the same house. She's angry because she thought you would always be there. She thought her dependable husband would always be her security, even her backup. But you stood by your principles and your limits, so now she can't stand that. She may have lost her AP and now her husband as well. Your ex wasn't expecting that. She's been a typical selfish cheater. They ultimately care about themselves and what they want. You have done nothing wrong, so ignore this pathetic hypocrite and do whatever that makes you happy. If she runs her mouth, tell her to mind her own business. You don't answer to her anymore and you will only discuss about the children. There is a parenting app that you can download. Communications should be done through that only. So if she gets out of hand, you have proof because nothing can be deleted from it. Take care of yourself and the kids. Best of luck with your new lady. Thank you all for listening to today's story. Please like, comment and share the video if you enjoyed it. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you will be notified when we upload the next video. Take care.